Welcome back to another episode of 40 Facts About the 40K Universe. I am your host Gersh1, and today we're going to be talking about the most famous Catachan jungle fighters. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We post Warhammer 40K lore videos every single day. If you have any suggestions, please comment down below. And if you enjoy our content, thank our patrons on Patreon. It's because of them that we can do this. Link in the description if you guys want to support us. But with that said, let's get into 40 facts on the most famous Catachan jungle fighters. Gunnery Sergeant Harker is one of the most renowned warriors of the Catachan jungle fighters. Nicknamed Stonetooth, it was outlandishly claimed that this tough bastard enjoyed chewing on shards of glass instead of tobacco. For those that actually share Harker's lineage, they understand that the nickname actually comes from a voracious predator native to Catachan. While these rumors might be slightly exaggerated, Stonetooth's comrades have witnessed him easily shrug off blade cuts and gunshot wounds that would easily kill another man. For Harker, the fear of death is a concern for weaker soldiers and has no time to contemplate pain or even bleeding. Sergeant Harker is a giant of a man for an Astartes, even by Catachan standards. His gigantic frame is covered with slabs of muscle and sinew. His strength is such that he carries his heavy bolter, nicknamed Payback, as easily as a normal man carries a lasgun, without even breaking a sweat. Harker is uncomplaining in the completion of his duties, a tough and grizzled sergeant with guts for brains. He shows an enthusiasm for war that is somewhere between arrogance and bravado. It would be inaccurate to say that he possesses no tactical acumen, for when it comes to war, Stonetooth is an expert. But when given the choice between fighting and thinking his way out of a tight spot, Harker reaches for payback every time. Stonetooth has done it all, from rescue missions to assassinations, from reconnaissance to demolition. Harker will get the job done. He leads a squad of Catachan devils. These are exceptional warriors, even by the exacting standards of their birth world. Comprised of the regiment's bravest veterans, Harker's team takes the fight directly to the enemy. They were created to make long-range penetration raids deep behind enemy lines, and when the enemy is engaged, they bear the brunt of the bloody combat. Exaggerated stories of inhuman heroics circulate constantly amongst the soldiers of the Astra Militarum. While dug into their foxholes waiting to face inevitable horrors, these tales often keep the fear at bay. Though few stories can be substantiated, those told about Gunnery Sergeant Harker are generally believed. One of the most famous is how this gargantuan trooper came to possess the heavy bolter he carries into battle, and how it earned its name. When he was a new recruit, so the story goes, Harker's platoon was sent to eradicate a roving greenskin warband in the tangled barrens of Warhammer 40K. Only a handful of orcs had been spotted on the Death World, so reconnaissance and aerial support were deemed unnecessary. What Harker's platoon encountered was not a ragtag band of savages, but a hardened cadre of blood-axe warriors. The ambush launched by the orcs was as brutal as it was unexpected, and soon Harker was the only guardsman remaining. To make matters worse, his last gun's energy cells were fried from overuse, so he reached into the flames where a heavy weapons team had been immolated and retrieved the fallen comrade's heavy bolter. The towering Catachan then trained the massive gun on the remaining greenskins and unleashed vengeful retribution. Since that day, Payback has been massacring Harker's enemies throughout the galaxy. The most famous example of Harker's bravery occurred during the battle against the Tyranids on the twilight world of Jorn 5, where his squad was assaulted by a pack of raveners bursting from beneath the planet's black soil. Within seconds, his ammunition loader was torn apart by monstrous claws, while the rest of his squad was trying their best to stay alive. Without a gun, Harker leapt upon the closest beast without pause, and wrapped his massive biceps around the alien's throat. The Ravener tried its best to buck him off, but Harker's grip would not loosen. Harker squeezed until with an audible crack, the creature's neck was shattered, and its serpentine body finally lay still. Harker then removed his heavy bolter from his tripod stand, and opened fire on the remaining Tyranids. Each organism burst apart as the explosive bolts did their work. His dead comrades avenged, Harker dusted himself off, slung a belt of ammunition over each shoulder, and slacked off to find the rest of his company. Payback tracking back and forth like a hound searching for its prey. Currently, Harker serves in Colonel Ironhand Strachan's 2nd Regiment of Catachan Jungle Fighters, the equally renowned Green Vipers, who have a reputation for getting the job done, whatever the odds against them. Stonetooth is the most senior sergeant of the regiment, and leads his hand-picked team of veterans with the patience and cunning of the most dangerous of predators. In addition to being a squad leader, Harker can be seen as a heavy weapon specialist, wielding his trusty heavy bolter. Nork Dead Dog was a legendary Ogren soldier that served in the 2nd Catachan Jungle Fighter Regiment under the famed Colonel Grice. This massive abhuman was selected by the Schola Progenium to serve in the Astra Militarum due to his ability to write his own name, count to 4, and even speak fluently and understand orders without hesitation or difficulty. These were all rare milestones in Oghren development, as the majority of Oghrens would find these tasks very difficult, if not impossible. He was taken out of the normal stream of Imperial Guard warfare and underwent biochemical neural enhancements similar to those of the creation of boneheads, as well as extensive martial training. Nork was then assigned to be the bodyguard of Colonel Grice. Nork is a genius by Oghren standards, and is also the only Oghren to have ever been assigned directly to serve a commissar. He was assigned to guard the life of Colonel Grice, and did so faithfully. While Grice was as vocally warlike as any good Catachan officer should be, he was old and physically frail. The men of the regiment soon became used to the old colonel bellowing orders from the shelter of Nork's massive frame, the Oghren's ripper gun mowing down the foe with shredding bursts as shots intended for his charge rebound harmlessly from the bulk of his armor. The sight of the colonel and his Oghren bodyguard became a familiar one during the Second Catachan's 4-year-long campaign on Balor. The bone-thin colonel bawling out his orders while shells burst around him and bullets sometimes even ricocheted off Nork's dense skull. Colonel Grice implicitly trusted Nork with his life, which had been saved by the loyal bodyguard and friend on many occasions, most notably at the disaster of Breakback Hill, also known as Hill Gamma Zero. Dead Dog's reputation was cemented when he carried the badly wounded Grice to safety through hostile territory, dragging the wreckage of the colonel's Chimera behind him for cover the entire way, while being shot at by thousands of enemy troops and seemingly feeling no pain. Since that bloody conflict, Nork's skills as a bodyguard have been in great demand. His loyalty is beyond question, and the hulking Oghren would rather sustain terrible wounds than permit a single scratch upon his master. When the Orc war boss, Ulruk Gitsmasha, and a mob of his hardest meganobs overran the command dugout at the Battle of Chabda Bridge, Nork was the only one to stand his ground beside Sub-Overlord Ven Vambold. During the ensuing brawl, Dead Dog bullied his way into the Orc's midst and subjected the Xeno war boss to a headbutt so ferocious that the monstrous Orc was hurled from the dugout to its death in the sizzling acid of the river far below. The remaining Orcs were totally awestruck and retreated rather than face the angry Oghren in further combat. Nork's own body has proven time and time again to be the most effective shield an Imperial Guard officer can have against enemy fire. Nork will do his utmost to protect his master from harm, even going so far as to throw himself in front of enemy fire. On the world of Folax 4, for example, Nork selflessly leapt on top of an enemy grenade that would have otherwise killed Commander Ridge, crushing both the grenade and the grenadier who threw it to a bloody pulp beneath his massive bulk. The resulting explosion was muffled by Nork's body. The Oghren seemed not to notice the damage. It is believed that Nork has personally saved the lives of over 100 Imperial Guard officers, and by doing so has been instrumental in securing victories on dozens of worlds. Though the Oghren has a large collection of medals, citations, and personal gifts, Nork cares not for the trinkets and the pins. He continues to serve for the content feeling he gets when fighting alongside a good friend. Though unquestionably loyal, Nork is no leader. Throughout his long career, he has guarded officers with remarkable military acumen, tactical genius, and an innate understanding of the Astra Militarum war machine. Unfortunately, none of this has rubbed off on the hulking Oghren. His singular duty demands all of his attention, and has done for the entirety of his illustrious service. In those rare instances when the subject of his protection is grievously wounded or unable to maintain their command, allied soldiers may appeal to Nork for orders. After all, he is technically the most decorated and experienced veteran in a battalion. Such requests, however, are in vain. In Nork's simple mind, he still has but one duty, and he will continue to protect the fallen officer until he is told not to do so. Fortunately, having an unconscious officer draped across his shoulder does little to hamper Nork's ability to butcher the enemy. During the brief periods of peace between deployments, Nork experiences chronic discomfort whenever compelled to accompany his latest master to a social function or a parade drill. However, such embarrassments only encourage Nork to fight all the harder when he returns to the field of battle, determined to prove his worth and bask in the satisfying glow of being the Imperial Guard's finest bodyguard. Another famous Oghren warrior that served for the Catachan jungle fighters was Urok of the 233rd Catachan Regiment. Having been tied at a very young age, he has become incredibly attached to the humans he serves alongside, especially an old Catachan by the name of Gorion. He calls them his little aunts. Urok is just like other Oghrens. He is stubborn and dim-witted, usually only speaking in broken Low Gothic. He is slow to react, but fiercely loyal, always coming to the aid of his comrades, and always willing to follow the orders of his commissar. Unfortunately, in a recent assault, Gorion was shot and killed by a group of orc boys. Urok has been inconsolable for days, and now has become hungry for revenge against the orcs. The loss of his favorite little one has caused Urok to act uncharacteristically aggressive. He has started to act on his own initiative, doing anything he can to kill orcs. Of all the Catachan jungle fighters, none is more revered than the soldier known as the one-man army, Sly Marbo. Marbo is historically one of the most decorated members of the Imperial Guard. A naturally born survivor, he is the ultimate soldier and the perfect example of what a true man should be. So much legend and mystery has been created around Sly Marbo that it is difficult to separate truth from myth. Although many stories are completely outlandish, the guardsmen of the Astra Militarum can't help but find peace and happiness from hearing of Sly Marbo's many deeds. For example, it is said that Sly Marbo managed to hack apart a Tyranid Prime with the creature's very own scything talents. When Sly Marbo threw a grenade, he managed to kill 5 orcs, and then the grenade exploded. It is even rumored that Sly Marbo doesn't cast a shadow because he scared it off. Only Colonel Troutman, Marbo's mentor and original commanding officer, knows the true details of his past. It is said that he was one of 10 brothers who was inducted into the Catachan 12th Regiment, and during fighting against Walt Gorgrok on Ryza, it was reported that they were all killed. However, tales abound of a lone guardsman returning 2 solar weeks later with the head of the Orc warlord, a single bullet hole clearly visible between the greenskin's eyes. Marbo gained further renown as one of the few survivors who fought during the Dark Eldar incursion of Galabad, where a small garrison of guardsmen stationed on the planet were greatly outnumbered by the Vazino hordes and eventually overrun. Many Imperial historians recount the horrific details of the long, dark nights of torture, in which the Catachan prisoners were dismembered while witches and mandrakes bathed in the blood of their victims. It was Colonel Troutman who led the rescue force that eventually found Sly Marbo, standing alone and armed only with a knife, covered from head to toe with alien blood. Marbo was surrounded by destroyed vehicles, piles of alien bodies, and the head of the Dark Eldar Archon impaled on a spike behind him. The myth of Guardsman Marbo had become legendary amongst the Catachan jungle fighters, although their tradition of exaggerating is equally well known. On Pardis, it is said that Marbo destroyed an enemy armored convoy by booby-trapping the entire ravine, while on Sask's world, he captured Command Post 420 single-handedly, slaying an alien leader and all of its tentacled bodyguards with his bare hands, and it is said that later with a ration tin. If half the stories of Marbo's exploits were true, then he would have a collection of medals that would rival that of an Imperial War Master, though he is known to have been awarded the Star of Terra, the highest Imperial award for valor, multiple times for his legendary exploits. Whatever the truth, it is without a doubt that Marbo is a man who has been through hell and back too many times to remain completely sane. The blood and death he has witnessed has warped Marbo to the point where he can only function with a blade in his hand. His eyes are empty when he isn't stalking the foe, his actions lackluster unless he is carving his name into an enemy's chest. Guardsman Marbo is a loner who sticks to the darkness at all times, even when he is receiving his orders at a friendly outpost. Few have seen his face, and none have heard him speak. He is utterly silent and acknowledges orders with but a slight nod before vanishing once more to find the enemy. His fellow jungle fighters compare him to a small orc in size, his sheer bulk almost inhuman, with dead eyes that are both cold and distant, unfocused and lethal. Between missions, Marbo never shows any emotion other than a mixture of sadness and brooding, appearing like a hulking machine running on low power, saving his energy for the fight to come. As a man who always works alone, Sly Marbo only uses what he can carry with him. Marbo travels relatively light, as he is incredibly adept at using the entire battlefield as a lethal weapon. Marbo doesn't rely on the relics and gadgets of the dark age of technology to get the job done, as he has eliminated many targets with just a Ripper pistol and Venom Blade in his bare hands. Marbo is a patient hunter. He waits in ambush until his quarry is in sight, before killing it with contemptuous ease. He is a master at blending into his surroundings and covering any trace of his whereabouts so that the enemy has no idea from where the attack is coming. Having slit the throat of his foe, he melts back into the shadows and stealthily moves to another vantage point. In this way, he throws the enemy army into utter disarray as they frantically try to locate the killer in their midst. In some cases, Marbo's actions are not even initially noticed, that is until entire patrols go missing, supply depots are destroyed, or command bunkers are discovered filled with corpses. In battle, it is said that fighting Marbo is like fighting a shadow. Enemy commanders have sworn that such attacks could not be a result of a single man, and that an entire army must have ambushed them. His skills are such that it is said that during the Octavius War, Marbo hunted the Tyrannid lictors for sport. If this is true, Marbo gives no sign. He simply stares vacantly into space until given the next assignment by his superiors. Marbo's fellow jungle fighters are well aware of his superlative skills at stealth and ambush, and know that if Sly Marbo doesn't want to be seen or heard, he won't be, sometimes not even by those who know he's around. There are times when Marbo will track a group of jungle fighters and aid them in a critical juncture. Having the legendary Sly Marbo watching their back is considered an honor by those he chooses to follow. And those were 40 facts on the most famous Catachan jungle fighters. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Obviously, I missed a lot. Comment down below, let me know which one is your favorite. I do think that I got the most important Catachan jungle fighter in on this video. I hope you guys enjoyed the little Sly Marbo popping up all over the place as well. You guys get bonus points if you can tell me how many times Sly Marbo popped up in this video. I'm talking about the little Emperor text-to-speech old school Sly Marbo figure. Comment down below. If you guys enjoy our content, it is because of our patrons, so thank them. That $1 contribution really goes a long way, and it helps me spend a little bit more time on videos so that we can throw in little funny things like Sly Marbo. Thanks for listening, guys, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. This is Gershwan with One Mind Syndicate, signing out.
Oh, I used to put my freedom